Hi, welcome to my Executor Rush experience presentation. This will be just me talking about the whole journey. We'll be covering a bunch of different stuff. It might be a long video. When I started, how long it took, the aims of the rush, milestones of the journeys, what worked and what didn't, my personal journey, the things I farmed and when I farmed them, that sort of thing. What I'll do differently, my recommendations off the back of that, how I competed with Lightspeed bundles, purchases and spenders in general, what you can do, and a conclusion to that. I will be time-stamped if you're only interested in one or 5 of those different headings. So when I started back in April 2023, with the intention of playing pretty casually, you know, not looking up any guides or finding out the best things to do, but I got into the game in a big way really quickly, spent all of that free energy on day one and just started watching content creators to find out, you know, the best stuff to do. I was looking, apparently there was a lot of different ways, people going for SLKR, people going for Executor, some other people going for C, but it looked like Executor Rush was the way to go. Set you up nice and early, got you that crystal income, and it seemed to be the winner's choice. So that's what I started to do. The aim of the account was to rush Executor so I can get ahead in Fleet Arena and in crystal income. The more crystals you have, presumably, the faster the account growth. The goal for the account was to get that increased account growth and that strength early on, so that once I'd done that, I can just choose whatever I want afterwards. Not playing the game to be competitive, although winning is fun and getting those Grand Arena wins does feel good. I just want to, you know, farm what I want to farm and play the way I want to play. So now that I've finished Executor, for example, I'm going after Doctor Aphra. All of her requirements have just recently been accelerated, so seemed like a cool way to go. So the milestones of the account we were going through, I got my first 7-star character requirement in week 6. That was TIE Fighter Pilot, the Canteen Energy Farm, and then quickly followed up just 5 short weeks later with my first 7-star ship requirement, which was the TIE Fighter. Unfortunately, almost to the day I finished off the TIE Fighter, that got moved to the Cantina node with TIE Fighter Pilot, and I felt a little like I'd wasted time and resources, but anybody doing it in the future will have that option and be able to farm something else on the fleet energy. My first Zated character was General Veers a week later in week 12. It would have been Piet, but Piet's Zeta isn't until level 84, and General Veers' Zeta is, I think, level 82. So seemed like the way to go. Level 85 was finally reached at week 14. It took a long time to get there. It was a really slow journey, one of the longest tutorials I've ever played, but it was an exciting big milestone for the account there. Then 5 weeks later, I got my first relic requirement, and just first relic character, Darth Vader at R7. I was able to take him to R7 almost straight away, because throughout those 14 or 19 weeks of early game, I was able to just accrue enough resources to take that relic up, but every other relic after that slowed right down. Finally, in week 32, I was able to get all of the character requirements to their respective relic levels, and that was pretty good. That was very exciting. I was getting really giddy at this point to unlock the Executor. Week 33, a week later, I was able to get all of the ship requirements to 7 stars, so Houndstooth was my final one. It was very slow. A capital ship, I will talk about a bit later why without capital ship is there. And then finally, 10 days before Christmas, 15th of December 2023, Booyakasha, I unlocked the Executor in week 35, just after just before the 9-month period. The 9-month was my original goal, so getting there before 9 months was pretty exciting. What I'm happy about with the journey, the Executor itself, very happy with the Executor. It's been able to get me GAC holds already, get me to first in Fleet Arena quite often when I remember to do it, essentially. Having a large goal to work towards with lots of smaller incremental goals felt really good. I'll be playing the rest of the game with that sort of thing in mind. Working towards a large overarching goal with smaller incremental goals just really gave me a sense of progression and accomplishment. The Imperial Trooper team I farmed up for the Executor. Really happy with it. It has not led me astray. It's been able to do a lot of stuff. Not great in Conquest, but pretty much every other game mode. It's been wonderful. And the Geonosian team and the Geonosian ships I've been really happy with as well. Geonosian ships was what I went for to start off in the Fleet Arena until I unlocked all the Bounty Hunter ships. And the Geonosian team as well is excellent. I really like the Geonosian team. Can't really fault them for a beginner team. And they're useful in very many game modes. Things I wasn't too happy about was the lack of Conquest teams above easy difficulty. Geonosians kick butt in the easy difficulty Conquest. As soon as I reached normal, it felt like I had entered a completely different game. Every team felt more powerful than the last. I was barely able to accomplish the first crate and I just stopped playing. So I went back to easy for a few weeks or a few conquests, and now I'm back on normal and I'm doing better. It's still really difficult, but I'm doing a lot better in Conquest now. I felt like because of the lack of teams you're farming up for the Executor, I missed out on a lot of Assault Battle rewards. The Imperial Trooper team, being Empire and Imperial Trooper, are good for 2 Assault Battles, but there's still a Rebel, a Phoenix or Night Sister, a Sith or First Order, a Jedi or Ugnaught, and the Inquisitorious Tusken Assault Battle. Even just getting the first tier of the Assault Battle to get some extra shards, especially in the early game, just feels like a lot of stuff. So I didn't have a Rebel team at all. My Jedi team wasn't very strong. I didn't have enough Sith characters outside of Palpatine and Vader to even participate in that Assault Battle. And I didn't farm up the Phoenix, so I couldn't partake in the Phoenix Night Sister one either. I've rectified that partially now, but I did feel like I was missing out on a lot of rewards. I was also, speaking out of missing out on core teams. Commander Luke Skywalker, Darth Revan and Jedi Knight Revan, the Palpatine team with Mara Jade specifically in there. Just CLS is fantastic in every single game mode, including Conquest. The Revans, very similar, and not having access to them at all just really felt like I was behind. Sure, I was ahead in fleets, but there's one fleet game mode. There are many character game modes, so I didn't feel like I was making as much of a dent in all of those other things. And then finally, the last thing I wasn't too happy with was the alliance on a decent guild or crystals or timely relic material acquisition. What I mean by that is you got to be getting that, the Raid 3 currency to be getting impulse detectors or aero magnifiers in any sort of time. And if you're not in a guild doing the event raid or the featured raid, you're not getting any of that, and you have to spend crystals for it. You're only really buying them in the weekly shipments with crystals, and if you do plan on getting the 7-star unlock day one like I did, you've got other places for your crystals you want to be going. So I jumped around guilds quite a bit in the first 5 or 6 months of playing the game until I was happy with where I was, but it was difficult initially to just find a guild that would keep me on and do the content that I wanted to do to be able to progress quickly to, by extension, start helping out the guild. So my journey. Here, I'll show you the ships that I used and farmed up early, as well as the teams. So General Veer's Troopers was my dark side team. Because I didn't buy the Hyperdrive bundle, because this is a free-to-play account, I had to play through the light side battles, the dark side battles, cantina battles, the mod battles. So General Veers for the dark side did great. The best thing was having strong alliances, friends in the game. You just grab that rental Star Killer. Star Killer's basic is an AoE. He clears every round just very quickly. Fantastic. And that is how I got through most of the light side content. I decided to farm up a Bastila-led Jedi team for light side because Bastila gives all that extra survivability, which means with the lower gears, you can hopefully still survive long enough to be able to take everything out. And it worked pretty well for the most part. I thought I would be using it to unlock the mod challenges, but I ended up using a combination of the dark sides and the Geonosians to get that done. And overall wasn't too bad. The third team was the Geonosian team. I used those for the back end of Galactic War. Imperial Troopers for the start of Galactic War. If you take out Piet and you take out Range Trooper for Snow Trooper and Iden Versio, and Iden Versio was the leader of that team at the time, I was able to get through every single Galactic War until I unlocked Geo Brood Alpha at level 83 or 84, I believe. And then Galactic War was a walk in the park. But up to that point, you really want to be squeezing out every single piece of Galactic War currency you can get. And so the Imperial Troopers were fantastic for that before I unlocked the Geonosians. The Geonosians have been fantastic. Getting them to gear 12 meant that the Geonosian ships were really strong in fleets, and I'm able to, I think like 70% of the time now, get the Wat Tambor Shard when we do the Geonosian territory war battle. I could probably put better mods on them, but they get the job done for the most part. Ship-wise, my first goal in ships was to complete the Executrix event that allows you to get Zeta materials. Sorry, just a second. Had to get some water, but I'm back. So the Zeta material ability challenge was the one that I really wanted to get done first and foremost. I had 3 Geonosian ships, but I believe you need 6 dark side ships at 5 stars to be able to get that done. Vulture Droid was a very slow farm. Slave 1 was a very slow farm. TIE Advance was a very slow farm. I managed to get the Imperial Fighter for a 4th ship. I believe Slave 1 for a 5th ship. And I didn't plan a 6th ship. I don't know what I was doing. I don't know what the heck happened, but I didn't have a 6th ship farmed. Fortunately, the TIE Dagger event had occurred a few weeks earlier, and I managed to get enough shards to take it up to 5 stars. So I quickly unlocked the Sith Trooper, and there was our 6th 5-star ship. Had I done it again, I probably would have farmed up the TIE Silencer, as it's an amazing ship. It's quite easy to farm, and that would have been my 6th. Going back, better decisions could have been made, but overall, I got to where I needed to be. After that, my core fleet in the fleet arena were the 3 Geonosian ships and Vulture Droid as a reinforcement. I also had Slave 1 and TIE Advance just because they were my next 2 strongest ships, but these 4 Separatist ships carried me to sometimes even 2nd place in Fleet Arena on the lead up to the Executor unlock. The things that really helped were the reinforcement ability of the Vulture Droid that gives blind for 2 turns. Incredible. As well as the fact that the Vulture Droid assists on any Separatist ship that attacks an enemy that has buzz droids on it. The other core to this was the unique of Geonosian Spy that gives both the Geonosian Spy and the Geonosian Soldier stealth for 1 turn whenever Spy gets attacked. Because Sunfac's Haunt is only up against enemies that are buffed, this gave a lot of extra survivability to the other 2 Geonosian ships, and meant that Sunfac was the one getting attacked for the most part, even when he didn't have Taunt up. So that combination of 4 ships really just, I could take out all the Lightspeed Bundle Houndstooths that came out I could take out pretty much everything. And Lightspeed Bundle came at a very bad time for me, account-wise, but I still managed to keep in that top 10 most days on the lead up to transitioning to the Bounty Hunter ships. I also managed to keep track of all of my progression starting at week 4 for this account. So, first 4 weeks, Geonosian Soldier, Mace Windu, Tano, Poggle, and Spy were all at 7 stars. I'd made it to level 69, and I was in top 100 in Fleet Arena and top 1000 in Squad Arena. I was able to slowly knock that down. Of course, we talked about it earlier, TIE Fighter Pilot at 7 stars here at week 6, slowly working on everything else. As you can see, by week, where is it? By week 6, I was already in top 50 of the Fleet Arena. I'm getting crystals. Then I was able to progress down to top 10 for a couple of weeks at week 13, and then everyone started unlocking everything. So I got knocked back to top 20. If we look at the week 19, still going pretty good. We're slowly getting some unlocks. Darth Vader is relicked at this stage. We've got a relic Boba Fett as well, just waiting for that final one, which took a pretty long time. But I was even top 20. It was in the 50s, the 10s. I even managed to get to 9, 5, 4 by week 33, week 34. So it was all very exciting, all very cool. I was very happy with the results there. So what would I do differently after all is said and done, after I've completed this journey? I would have taken the time to get Commander Luke Skywalker. It takes a really long time to unlock everything for the Executor Journey. It takes an even longer time to relic all the characters up and get 7-star ships. Within that time, you can take a few weeks. That's pretty much all it takes for the Luke Skywalker requirements to at least unlock Commander Luke Skywalker. I would also try and get some other teams for GAC stability, which in turn will also help with Territory War and Territory Battle contribution. Territory Battle, I felt like I was doing nothing. Territory War, I felt like I was doing less than nothing. If at all possible, I could throw a team on defense and then just hope for the best there. But with a couple of extra teams, I felt like I might have been able to actually provide some help, especially in Territory Battle. Territory War, I still feel like I provide nothing. Unlocking Mara Jade, just unlocking Mara Jade, would, I think, have helped the account's growth and progression through some game modes quite a bit. Unlock her, get her up to like gear 8, whatever gear it is before she starts needing Kyrotex, and there's an Emperor Palpatine team with your Relic 7 Darth Vader and your Emperor Palpatine going strong. Finally, don't miss any of the Executrix events, or just capital ship events in general. I don't know how I did it, but I just didn't look at the events tab in the game for over a 24-hour period, and I missed an Executrix event, and that meant when it came time to unlock the Executor, I had to spend crystals on a refresh of that event to get the 7-star Executrix, or wait another month and only unlock the Executrix, or the Executor, sorry, in January, which would have been heartbreaking for me, personally, so really pay attention to when those capital ship events are happening. Now, the Lightspeed bundles and Light Spenders, or Spenders in general, Lightspeed bundles came in toward the back end of me using Geonosians. I think maybe a month before I pivoted into Bounty Hunter ships, and at first I thought, this is it. This is the end for me. I'm going back to the top 50 in Fleet Arena, and we're done. I was pretty upset, but I punched up, I kept fighting, and it turned out that I could take out those Houndstooths. I was able to take them out, I was able to stay in the top 10, get down to the top 5 a couple of times, I was pretty happy with the situation. So it wasn't the end of the world, but it definitely made things a lot tougher. Spenders in general, I just look at their accounts and I go, wow, that's a lot of money, and that's the only thing I think about spenders. They're in their own bracket at the top. I don't really pay too much attention. So despite all of the PvP content and just all of the other times you get to see other people's accounts, you're not really in a race with anyone else when you're playing through this game. Just a race with yourself. Sure, trying to compete, you can maybe compete with the spenders, but not really. Everything is slow in this game. The unlocks are slow. The gearing is slow. The relics are slow. The fighting in some instances is really slow. So you're not trying to get there quickly. If something gives you 5 extra shards of a character now, but you're not using that character for another 3 months, don't spend the crystals on getting that 7-star character. Don't spend the crystals on getting those extra 5 shards. Just go at your own pace and you'll be happier, I think, for it. As a free-to-play player, you can't really compete with the pay-to-plays. There are exceptions to this rule, but essentially they have 12 relics to your 2 relics. They have 5 million GP to your 1 million GP. You get pit up against them in different game modes, and it's a tough thing, but it just happens, and you just keep going. Of course, in fleets it's a bit different because ships are harder to get, and people don't always pay attention to what the meta is. And I find the more money someone spends on the game, the less attention they pay to the meta and mods and that sort of thing. So there are exceptions, but you go at your own pace. You go against the other people who are free to play, and that's your competition. Before I got my Executor, there were 4 other Executors in my shard at 4 stars and a 7-star Profundity that just came out of nowhere. Then I got my Executor and a 7-star Leviathan entered the scene. It's crazy. Money's always better than time in this game, but despite the fact that all these other Executor players spent money on the game, I was still one of the first 10 people to get a Galactic Legend level capital ship. So it is possible to compete with the free-to-players, but it's not worth your time for the most part. Very mixed messages in this slide. Don't know why I added it. So my recommendations after everything is said and done: you don't need to rush up gearing the requirements. Rush to get them to 7 stars, but you don't need to rush to gear any of these characters. You're only as quick as your longest farm, and that for most people will be Houndstooth. So in that period of time, I definitely think you have the opportunity to unlock Commander Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Chewbacca, and gear them to a level that will allow you to complete more content, have another team for Grand Arena, to be able to get through more conquest nodes. On top of that, I would also recommend unlocking Mara Jade, maybe 5-ish stars, and add that to your Palpatine team or your Palpatine. You'll have the Rebels because you've unlocked Commander Luke Skywalker. You'll have your Relic Vader, which only gets stronger with Mara Jade. You'll have your Emperor Palpatine that's unlocked from the Rebels. So I think if there were things that I would do differently and recommend for other people to do, take the time to get a couple of extra teams. One is 1 additional character. One is kind of 1 additional character. You'll be unlocking Chewbacca anyway because you have bounty hunters. If you're not unlocking Han Solo and getting him to 7 stars for 10 extra TIE Advance X1 shards, maybe you're wasting too much fleet energy or fleet currency on unlocking your TIE Advance 1. Finally, in conclusion, after all I've gone over, the Executor Rush felt like a really solid way to start a free-to-play account. This is my only account in the game. I haven't got any additional accounts that I play. And the Executor Rush feels like I've definitely achieved something, and my count is definitely stronger as a result. It gives you a few usable teams. Galactic War early on with the Geonosians and the Imperial Troopers, and once you can sim that, you're in GAC. You've got your defense with your Geonosians, you've got your offense with your Troopers. You might even have a one-man army that is Daddy Vader up here. As soon as he gets Merciless Massacre Zeta, he can take out a bunch of stuff and really go strong. Carbonite GAC is scuffed anyway, so you're not going to be able to do much with the people you go up against, but having those extra teams does feel like you've at least accomplished something. Moving forward in the future, I'd say that the Executor Rush is still a pretty solid way to start a free-to-play account in 2024 for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. There may be an update down the line in 5 months that completely changes the state of the game and completely makes redundant Executor or rushing for Executor. But at this stage, I would recommend it to people who don't know what to do and they're looking for a long-term farm. Finally, there is also just a small part of me that wishes I went for Profundity instead. It's arguably the better fleet. It has slightly more tougher requirements. But when I was starting this account, I was tossing up between Profundity and Executor, and I went for Executor. Of course, I don't regret it, but there is a little part of me that wonders, what would have happened if I unlocked Profundity? Would I have short hair? Would I be thinner? Would I be having more fun in the game? I don't know, but it's a good one. It's a good one. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, stop by the Twitch stream, Wednesday mornings, Thursday mornings, and Friday mornings, Melbourne, Australia time. I'd love to see you there. That's all. That's it from me. Hang around for the next video, and thank you for watching so much. Bye, 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 bye.